Part 69. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 681. For a long time, Murong Chen looked Mu Zi up and down with suspicious eyes. With your level of reasoning, if you become a prosecutor in the future, are you sure you won't cause unjust, false, or wrongful convictions? Mu Zi was stunned for a moment. What's wrong? Am I reasoning wrong? This is illogical reasoning, otherwise tell me, why did Ning Yue treat me like this? Ning Yue hated Mu Zi extremely, but Mu Zi didn't have a deep impression on Ning Yue. From Mu Zi's point of view, the two had nothing to do with each other, and the only unpleasant thing was that they had played a few rounds of werewolf killing. But this little conflict, as for the other party's deliberate revenge? Mu Zi couldn't understand. Murong Cheng said, seeing that you don't like it, what's wrong with wanting to punish you? Do you need a reason? Maybe she's just being cheap. Murong Cheng acted like a rascal. I've touched you now, and I still want to kiss you. Is there any reason? Don't think about which man likes you all day long, be more reserved. Mu Zi turned on the taunting mode. Oh he. Fortunately you are not a prosecutor, otherwise in court, you will definitely be detained by the judge for contempt of court. Is it just contempt of court? Murong Chen leaned over and approached her dangerously, his lips almost touching his lips, and jokingly said, shouldn't it be a crime of hooliganism? Rong Chen, what are you doing? Bai Wei's voice suddenly caught my ears. The siblings looked over together and saw Bai Wei standing seriously at the door of the room. Mu Zi lowered her head in embarrassment, pretending to be nonchalant, and continued to drink milk. Murong Chen withdrew his hooligan hand, gently placed it on Mu Zi's head, and rubbed it. I didn't do anything. Murong Chen smiled. I'll come and have a look. The child daughter-in-law my mother raised for me looks pretty good. Bai Wei's face turned red and then pale, and she said angrily, come out. Don't interfere with Zizi's study. Murong Chen could only walk out of the room. Bai Wei closed the door with a bang. Mu Zi heard Bai Wei's soft reprimand from outside the door, as well as Murong Chen's playful tone, I'm going to get married sooner or later, didn't you urge me to have a grandson earlier? Why are you not in a hurry now? Well, if you have the kung fu to teach me, why don't you cook more delicious food for Zizi, take care of your body, and give birth to grandchildren for you in the future? Mu Zi suppressed a laugh in the room. She was very suspicious that if Murong Chen continued to speak, Bai Wei would cry again. Murong Chen is really too bad. As October approached, Mu Zi took a week off to attend the judicial examination in Beijing. There was another conflict at home over who would accompany Mu Zi to the exam. Bai Wei is worried that Murong Chen will accompany Mu Zi, but Murong Chen thinks that Bai Wei will go with her, and the two women, one big and one small, are even more worrying. Both mother and son went, but Mu Zi disagreed. It's too exaggerated. I'm just going to take a test. I don't need to mobilize the whole family, right? Mu Zi said with a smile, I'll come back after the test, at most 2 or 3 days. I'm not a child, so I can go alone. Mu Zi insisted on going alone. On the day of departure, Bai Wei packed Mu Zi's luggage and told her how much cash, bank cards, and various documents were placed in the mezzanine, and she was afraid that Mu Zi would not be acclimatized, so she stuffed a lot of regular medicine in the suitcase. I am afraid that my daughter will be tired and sick in a different place. After you go, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't rest too late. Your body is the most important thing. There are exams every year. If you can't pass this year, you can take the exam again next year. You are still young, and there will be more opportunities like this in the future. Bai Wei instructed Mu Zi at the entrance. Mu Zi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Mom, why are you saying all the things that discourage me? Murong Chen urged from the side, go in quickly, dawdle, don't miss the departure time. What are you in such a hurry for? Bai Wei scolded him, aren't you worried about Zizi? I'm worried, Murong Cheng said, it's because I'm worried that I want to go with her. Don't you agree? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 682. Bai Wei was choked up, the train station was full of people coming and going, she couldn't say anything, no matter how dissatisfied she was, she could only endure it. It was indeed not long before the departure time, there were people all around, and the train that Mu Zi was on had already started ticket checking. Bai Wei heard the radio and said anxiously, "Oh, hurry up, don't miss the car." Murong Cheng said coldly, "You are the one who is not in a hurry, and you are the one who is in a hurry." Okay, Mu Zi gave him a helpless look, "During the few days I'm not here, remember to take good care of Sisi and Xiao." Mu Zi followed the crowd to enter the station. Bai Wei's eyes were red, and she followed her and muttered, "When you arrive in Jingling, remember to call home, don't talk to strangers on the way, and be careful in everything." Mu Zi repeatedly said yes. She followed the team slowly forward, and when she was far away, she waved at Bai Wei and Murong Cheng, but there were so many people, she didn't know if they could see them. Maybe it was infected by Bai Wei, Mu Zi inexplicably felt her eyes sore, and the melancholy of parting was born in her heart. However, thinking that I just left for 2 or 3 days, and it's not like I won't come back forever, that trace of melancholy disappeared without a trace. This high-speed rail train went directly from Xinjiang to Jingling, and the journey took 5.5 hours. After Mu Zi got in the car, she first sent a message to Bai Wei, saying that she got in the car safely, and asked her to go back with her brother, so don't worry too much. Then he sent messages to Zhang Xinyuan and Zhuang Jie. It was time for class, but neither of them replied. As the train left the station, Mu Zi looked at the gradually changing scenery outside, thinking that she was about to go to a completely strange city, without relatives, without friends, and the melancholy of parting surged up again, covering her heart like a thin layer of cobwebs. There is a slight sense of suffocation. Mu Zi felt that she was quite hypocritical. Didn't she go to the Jingling alone in the past? At that time, my grandma couldn't even take her to the train station because of her poor health. She was alone for the whole journey, and she didn't feel any worries at that time. After thinking about it, I came to the conclusion, I have been spoiled in this life. Because someone spoiled her, she became squeamish. Mu Zi smiled, took out the magazines on the train and flipped through them casually, and gradually felt sleepy, so she closed her eyes and rested. At 6:30 in the evening, the train arrived at Jingling railway station. Mu Zi got off the train together with the crowd. The afterglow of the setting sun didn't give much warmth, and the cold air made her shrink her neck. In Xinjiang in October, there are still people wearing short sleeves on the street, but in Jingling in October, autumn has already entered. Fortunately, Bai Wei had already prepared a lot of clothes for Mu Zi. Mu Zi dug out a Qinghu-colored knit sweater from the suitcase, put it on and dragged the suitcase out of the station, but she was very unlucky today. The escalator broke down, and the passengers had to carry their heavy luggage up the stairs. There are also some passengers waiting outside the straight elevator, but the straight elevator can only take a dozen people at a time. Mu Zi didn't want to wait, so she simply picked up the suitcase and walked up the stairs. But the suitcase is really heavy. After walking up a few steps, she felt that her whole arm was sore and uncomfortable. She stopped, shook her arms, and took a break, when suddenly someone came from behind, picked up her suitcase and walked forward. Huh, Mu Zi was startled, and was about to ask aloud, when she raised her eyes and saw the tall figure from behind. She immediately stayed where she was, unable to recover for a while. Seeing that there was no movement behind him, Murong Cheng looked back at her, raised his eyebrows, and said, "Let's go, do you still want me to carry it?" Standing on the high steps, he couldn't see his face clearly in the backlight. His tall and slender figure was reflected by the bright golden glow, wearing a simple white shirt and dark trousers, but Muzi suddenly felt that he was so handsome that everyone was angry. Feeling warm in her heart, Muzi suddenly ran up the steps quickly, ignoring the astonished eyes around her, and threw herself on Murong Cheng. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 683. Murong Chen was taken aback by Muzi's actions. He held the suitcase in one hand, and when he saw Muzi rushing towards him, he quickly grabbed the handrail of the stairs with the other hand. No matter how light and small she is, on such a long step, Murong Chen has no idea if he has to bear such a passionate pounce. Muzi ran up to him and jumped onto Murong Cheng's back. He was like a koala, hanging on Murong Cheng's body, refusing to get off. Murong Cheng laughed and said, after sitting in the car for so long, it's still not enough? Come down quickly and go by yourself. I didn't sit enough. Muzi buried her face in the back of his neck, and shook her vigorously. Her legs tightly clamped his waist, her arms hooked around his neck, and it automatically became a pendant. Murong Cheng had no choice but to carry forward with a heavy load, carrying Muzi on his back and carrying his luggage. He walked all the way up the long stairs. How is it? Is your boyfriend in good physical strength? After climbing the stairs, Murong Chen weighed Muzi behind him and asked her for credit. Muzi stuck to his body stickily, her mouth pressed against his cheek, and her voice sweetly pierced into his ears. Well, you have the best physical strength, you are the best. These words are too easy to cause ambiguity. Murong Cheng's heart fluttered when he heard it. He immediately pinched her little butt, and said warmly, I will let you know what it means to have good physical strength in the future. Okay. Muzi didn't scold him or lose his temper, and said with a smile, I'll wait. Murong Cheng's stomach tightened, and his mood was indescribably high. He carried a suitcase on his back, and walked like flying all the way. After getting into the car, Murong Cheng couldn't bear it any longer, took Muzi's face in his hands and kissed it, first to relieve the urgent need. Muzi timidly catered to her, she was so obedient. After the kiss was over, he pecked her lips again, and asked with a smile, why, Ziobi is better than a newlywed. Muzi laughed out loud. As soon as she saw her off, her back came to pick her up. What kind of farewell is that? Why are you here? She opened her moist and clear eyes, her little face was flushed, charming and charming. Can I let you come alone? Murong Cheng smiled. After seeing you off, I went to the airport, arrived at Jingling 2 hours before you, and then arrived at the train station. The timing was just right. Muzi asked, does mom know you're coming? Murong Cheng curled his thin lips, and asked without answering, what do you think? Just at this moment, Muzi's cell phone rang, and it was Bai Wei's call. Muzi glanced at Murong Cheng reproachfully, and answered the phone. Bai Wei asked on the other end of the phone, Zizi, are you there? How's the weather over there? I checked the weather forecast and it said that there will be a cold snap these 2 days. Remember to add some clothes so you don't catch a cold. Yes, I see. Muzi replied, I just got out of the station, and I'm going to the hotel by car. When you get to the hotel, remember to call me again. Bai Wei reminded her carefully, call your brother too, so that he won't worry about it. He seems very upset that I won't let him go with you this time. If I receive your call, I should feel better. Although Bai Wei disliked Murong Cheng face to face, how could he not be distressed because he was his own son? Muzi looked at Murong Cheng, smiled and said to the other end of the phone, okay, when I get to the hotel, I must give my brother a good call. After Bai Wei gave her instructions, she hung up the phone. Muzi I reached out and squeezed Murong Cheng's face. You lied to mom again. No, Murong Cheng said generously, I want to cut it first and then play it. Why don't you tell her now that I'm coming to Jingling? Stop making trouble. Do you want to make mom sleepless these days? Muzi I thought he was too mean. Then I'll wrong you to lie to mom with me. Murong Cheng took her hand, put it on his lips and kissed it, and asked with a smile, Zizi, does this count as a husband's show? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 684. Muzi I pursed her lips and smiled, ignored him, and quietly laid her pillow on his shoulder. The dullness of the journey was swept away. They arrived at the hotel by car. This is the best chain hotel near the Judicial Training Institute. Although it is not as luxurious as the Walker Hotel, it is above the 5-star level. The most affordable thing is that it is very close to the examination room. Many candidates have already stayed in the hotel. Murong Cheng paid more and changed the standard room into a deluxe room with a big bed. After nightfall, as Bai Wei said, the cold snap hit, the temperature suddenly dropped a lot, and the wind outside the window was whistling, like ghosts crying and wolves howling. Muzi I nestled in Murong Cheng's arms, looking at the night scene outside the window. The night scenes of every city seem familiar, the neon lights take away the splendor of the stars, and the fire trees, silver flowers, and radiance are as far as the eye can see. Clearly in a foreign land, Muzi I felt extraordinarily at ease. She thought to herself, if Murong Cheng hadn't come, how would she spend tonight? Probably only the gorgeous night of lights in front of her eyes and the sound of strong wind in her ears accompanied her to sleep. Muzi I's heart was touched. She turned over lightly, facing Murong Cheng, raised her head and kissed his chin lightly. There was no reason, just a sudden desire to kiss him. The longer we get along, the more Muzi I can realize that Murong Cheng's overly intimate behaviors are really involuntary, sometimes just a look, a movement, or a thought, and he can't help but want to hug, want to kiss. Action was ahead of her consciousness, and she realized that she had kissed him after she regained consciousness. Murong Cheng was dissatisfied with the position of the kiss, so he automatically adjusted the height, and bent down to find her lips. He was a little impatient, which made Muzi I laugh, and shrank back under the quilt, covering his head, not letting him kiss. Murong Cheng got under the quilt to look for her, and the two of them made a fuss under the quilt, playing like children, but they all fell off the bed and fell on the soft cashmere carpet. Muzi I hurriedly crawled out from under the cumbersome velvet quilt. She was wearing a thin nightgown, and when she struggled out, the shoulder straps were half removed, hanging between her snow-white and slender upper arms, and her thick black hair was messily scattered around her body, making her waist look more and more slender, and her skin radiant, delicious. Murong Cheng really wanted to throw her down and have a full meal. Just when she was about to do this, Muzi I covered her nose and sneezed. Achoo! She immediately retreated, and clung to Murong Cheng's body with her hands and feet, like a kitten, full of dependence on him. Murong Cheng wrapped her in a quilt, and carried her to the bed with the quilt. The temperature difference here in Jingling is huge, and the temperature has dropped suddenly in the past 2 days. You should take a medicine to prevent it, and don't fail the exam because of illness. Murong Cheng turned around to look for medicine. He remembered that Bai Wei stuffed a lot of emergency medicine in Muzi I's suitcase. When Murong Cheng came back with the medicine and water, Muzi I hesitated. She stared at Murong Cheng with a half smile, her eyes narrowed. Are you sure it's the medicine to prevent colds? Could it be, you want to stun me, and then do whatever you want with the innocent girl who passed out? Boom. Muzi I's forehead was knocked loudly. Take the medicine. Murong Cheng simply pinched her jaw, stuffed the medicine in, then tilted his head up and took a sip of water, feeding it mouth to mouth. Muzi I snuggled into his arms. She didn't know if the medicine had taken effect, or it was because she was tired in the middle of the night and started to feel drowsy. Her eyelids were fighting and gradually became blurred. Okay, I'm about to lose consciousness, do whatever you want. Before falling asleep, she deliberately teased Murong Cheng. Murong Cheng hugged her tightly, and bit her ear, why am I willing to dazzle you? I want to hear you pant and scream, and one day I will make you cry on the bed until your voice is hoarse. Do you like it? Muzi trembled, his sleepiness suddenly disappeared, and he was so scared that he closed his eyes and dared not speak. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 685. The next day, Murong Cheng got up earlier than Muzi and went to the restaurant downstairs to serve breakfast. He was very dissatisfied with this hotel, because the types of breakfast provided here were really limited, and most of the food was biased toward the tastes of northerners. He picked and picked for a long time, and finally he could only choose Western-style tuna sandwiches, corn salad and milk. Thinking about it, Suzy had stayed here for 2 years before, so he must be used to the eating habits here. Murong Cheng took some small steamed buns and steamed dumplings, a combination of Chinese and Western, and took them all back to his room. Muzi was brushing her teeth in the bathroom, her long hair was loose casually, and her suspender nightgown was hanging loosely on her body. She was lazy and confused. Murong Cheng took a deep breath. Even though she was naked, even if there was still white toothpaste on the corners of her mouth, he still found her damn sexy. Murong Cheng put down his breakfast, walked over and wrapped his arms around Muzi's waist from behind, and kissed her round and delicate shoulders, lingering, rolling to her snowy neck, lingering on her back, where she sucked hard. Muzi felt a numb itching, she laughed softly, and twisted in his arms. Then the two had breakfast together and went to the examination room together. When they appeared in the examination room, they attracted a lot of attention. Both of them were beautiful, especially Muzi, who attracted many candidates. Not only because she is beautiful, but also because she is young. Almost 80% of the people who came to take the judicial examination were men, and because the registration qualification had to be a university graduate, they were all over the age of 20, and there were even many uncles in their 40s. Sister, it is rare. Just when everyone thought that Muzi was here with her boyfriend, she took out the admission ticket and pinned it to her jacket with a brooch. Come here to participate in the judicial examination at such a young age? Are you a special student from which school? Do you want to ask her age? She is probably the youngest among the candidates in this class. Maybe they are just tender-faced. Some girls are in their 20s and have a baby face, so they look small. The people around were talking in low voices. During the period, some boys wanted to strike up a conversation, but the flower protector next to Musa was obviously not easy to mess with. He glanced around leisurely, his eyes were cold and stern, which made people subconsciously fearful and dare not approach. 15 minutes before the test, candidates entered the test room one after another to undergo identity verification and item inspection. Muzi handed over all the mobile phone, wallet and other things that she carried with her to Murong Cheng. In fact, there is a place to store items in the examination room, but Muzi wants to let Murong Cheng keep them. She thought to herself, since I have a boyfriend, of course we must maximize the value of him. All my wealth is in your hands. After I finish the exam, you must return it to me, Muzi said with a smile. Murong Cheng felt that she was acting like a baby, so he hugged her and kissed her twice, and then led her into the examination room. This is probably the benefit of going to a different place. You can get along like a boyfriend and a girlfriend without worrying about other people's strange eyes. After the exam started, Murong Cheng waited outside for a while, then walked slowly towards the hotel. As soon as he returned to the hotel, Muzi's cell phone rang. Murong Cheng glanced at it and saw the caller ID, Silly White Sweet. Who is Silly Badian? Murong Cheng answered the phone. Hello, who is it? The other end of the phone was stunned. Wrong Chang. Wrong Chang. Bai Wei asked angrily, why did you answer the phone? When did you go to Jingling? Where's Zizi? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 686. Murong Chang coughed in embarrassment, and replied, I just entered the examination room. What's the matter with you? Bai Wei was very anxious. Why did you go to Jingling? Wrong Chang. I'm here to take care of her. Murong Chang sighed inwardly, never thinking that he would be tricked by the little stupid pig. Mom, don't worry about it, we'll be back in 2 days, Murong Chang said reluctantly and hung up the phone, really impatient to listen to Bai Wei's long-winded chatter. After hanging up the phone, I wondered how Muzi chose the name. Bai Wei was called Silly Batian in the address book. What about him? Murong Chang opened the address book on Muzi's phone. Most of them were the numbers of his classmates, but he didn't see his name at a glance. He looked carefully at the numbers and finally found it. African, Big Ostrich. Murong Chang couldn't help but laugh. What kind of nickname did this little thing have? Murong Chang started to change his name. At this time, another call came in, and the displayed name was Xiao Ming. Murong Chang thought it was funny. There was a lot of business with small things, so in such a short time, several calls came one after another. But who is this Xiao Ming? As soon as the call was connected, Chu Mingjun immediately said, Miss Sister, didn't you ask a person named Qin Lu last time? She contacted me, but this case happened in Jingling, so I might go to visit her in the next 2 days. Jingling, are you taking an exam in Jingling recently? Let's meet up then. Understood, I will tell her, Murong Chang replied. Chu Mingjun was startled. Why is it a man's voice? You are. I'm her boyfriend. Murong Chang glanced at the time and said, she's taking an exam, you can call tomorrow. Oh, okay. Chu Mingjun hung up the phone, feeling a little confused. I won't meet liars, will I? He murmured, I never heard that my little sister has a boyfriend. There are 4 papers in the judicial examination: jurisprudence, constitutional law and economic law in the morning, criminal law, criminal procedure, administrative law, etc. in the afternoon, and civil law, commercial law and intellectual property law on the second day. The last paper is subjective questions, involving 14 main subjects' knowledge of the course. Each test paper takes 3 hours, and it takes 2 full days to finish all the tests. Even if Muzi has experience in judicial examinations, after such a series of tests, she feels very nervous and tired. After the exam the next morning, she walked out of the exam room with the candidates, looked up at the blue sky and white clouds outside, and her mood immediately opened up. Murong Chang stood in the distance and waved to her. Muzi happily ran over. Are you tired? Murong Chang patted her head and handed her the drink in his hand. Muzi smiled and asked him, why didn't you ask me if I did well in the exam? Murong Chang had a doting smile in his eyes. Then did you do well in the exam? I can't say it. Muzi smiled and looked at the other examines around him. Some people should be sad when they hear it. The outside of the examination room was full of people. Some performed well and were complacent, while others failed the test and sighed. Outside the gate of the Judicial Training Institute stands a huge piece of granite with the name of the institute engraved on it. Some parents took their children to take a group photo here. Muzi usually doesn't like to join in the fun, but when she follows Murong Chang, she will appear childish for some reason. She dragged Murong Chang over, and also wanted to take a group photo. Murong Chang felt that this behavior was so stupid and refused to go. Let's take a picture first, Muzi said to him. After I graduate from here in 2 years, I will take another picture. It will be interesting for comparison. When she said this, her stupid behavior immediately became meaningful, and Murong Cheng agreed. At this time, a reporter came over with a cameraman, and asked with a smile, "Excuse me, but we are from a news TV station. Can I ask you a few questions?" Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 687. Every time there is a major exam, there will always be some reporters waiting outside the exam room, randomly interviewing some parents of the candidates, and after going back to sort it out, it will be a hot news. Unexpectedly, Mu Zi also met once. The reporter smiled and asked, "Seeing that you two are in a good mood, you must have performed well in the judicial examination this time. Can you give us a general impression?" Because Mu Zi was wearing an admission ticket, the camera mainly focused on her. The exam went well, and the interview questions were both expected and unexpected. Mu Zi was not at all shy when facing the camera. She used to participate in public trials and often had to speak in front of the camera. The previous rote memorized test questions have been integrated to a certain extent. It not only examines the basic knowledge points, but also increases the assessment of dialectical thinking. This shows that the judicial reform in our country has never stopped, and it is becoming more and more democratic and free. I am very happy to see such a change, and I am very honored to have participated in this exam. The reporter was a little confused. He just thought it was rare to have a beautiful girl among the candidates, so he wanted to interview a few words, but he didn't expect the other party to speak clearly and logically. "Which family's daughter is this? You look young, did you come from another place to take the exam?" "Yes, I am 17 years old this year, and I am a student of Qingjiang Gray International Middle School." Mu Zi sent a wave of advertisements to the school by the way. The reporter thanked Mu Zi and took the cameraman to interview other candidates. Thinking of the changes in the test questions that Mu Zi said just now, the reporter asked several people one after another. Unexpectedly, many candidates echoed Mu Zi's statement, saying that the test questions this time contain a lot of gold. This shows that although Mu Zi is young, what he said has something to say, not empty talk. The reporter was hesitant to interview Mu Zi again, maybe he could dig out more bright speeches. The cameraman checked the machine, played back the shots just taken, and said to himself, "You are only 17 years old, and you are so beautiful, why would you want to participate in the judicial examination?" Generally, female students at this age want to be models. Is it an actor? It's quite pretty. The reporter also came over to look at it, looked at it, and said suddenly, "Huh? Don't you think she looks like a person?" "Who is it?" "It's that Sidhu Yan, doesn't it look like it?" "When you put it that way, it really looks like. One is from Jingling and the other is from Qingjiang. Even if they look alike, it doesn't mean much. The two just chat casually without thinking deeply." Mu Zi went to have lunch with Murong Cheng, took a nap, and then took the afternoon exam. After all the exams were over, she felt that she had finished a major event, and she felt a lot more relaxed, so she fell on the bed and didn't want to get up. "Get up, go out to eat." Murong Cheng stretched out his hand to pull her. Mu Zi cheated, hugged the quilt and refused to get up. Murong Cheng asked her angrily, "Aren't you hungry?" "Hungry?" Mu Zi blinked at him, "but I don't want to get up either." Murong Cheng had nothing to do with her, just do it. He got up helplessly, went out to buy dinner, brought it back, and fed it into her mouth spoon by spoon. It's ironic to think about it, in the past he looked down on Mu Zenning's slow-mindedness the most, why now, he feels that he is lower than that guy Mu Zenning? Considering his manly dignity, Murong Cheng felt that he should stop. But when he saw Muse's face puffed up, as if he was very happy and contented, he thought to himself, what does this have to do with dignity? This is obviously a small interest. Murong Cheng gently blew the fresh shrimp custard in the blowing spoon, fed it into Mu Zi's mouth, and talked to her at the same time. Let's make do with a few meals, and when we go back tomorrow, there will be something delicious. Mu Zi's cell phone rang suddenly. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 688. Huh? It's Xiao Ming's call. Mu Zi answered the phone. Hello, Xiao Ming. Chu Mingjun's voice came from the other end of the phone, cheerful and bright. Miss Sister. How did you do in the exam? It must be very good. Remember to treat guests to dinner later. Mu Zi smiled and nodded. I won't miss your food. In words, it is clear that he has a certain chance of winning this exam. Chu Mingjun congratulated her in advance, and then talked about Qin Lu's case. Mu Zi was a little surprised. It has been nearly a month since the incident happened. A month ago, Qin Lu was unwilling to sue Zhao Jia. Why? How did Qin Lu figure it out a month later? Chu Mingjun said, I'm going to witness in Jingling tomorrow, and the court will be held on Friday. Do you want to come together? The witnesses and material evidence in this case are all there, just like what Mu Zi said. The hope of winning the case is very high. Chu Mingjun can handle it all by himself, but after all, the case is decided by Mu Zi. It seems inappropriate to ignore it at all. Mu Zi thought for a moment, then said, you send me the time and place of the trial, and I will go with you on Friday. This time, in order to take the exam, she took a week off, just in time for the trial on Friday. It's just that, the original plan to return to Xinjiang on Wednesday will be changed to Saturday. I have to call and explain to Bai Wei, otherwise my mother should be worried. Mu Zi called Bai Wei and told Bai Wei the matter in a serious manner. She had mentioned to Bai Wei before that she worked as Chu Mingjun's assistant. The reason for making it up at that time was to increase her social practice experience, so it was very logical and natural for her to attend court trials with Chu Mingjun occasionally. Just when Mu Zi thought that Bai Wei would understand, Bai Wei asked hesitantly, Zi, did your brother ask you to say these words? What? Mu Zi was stunned. Bai Wei asked again, is he coaxing you to stay in Jingling for a few more days? Zizi, you are obedient. Mom is not unreasonable, it's because you are still young. Some things, now is not the time. You have been sleeping at night for the past 2 days, have you? Bai Wei's words were difficult, and it seemed difficult to speak. Murong Cheng couldn't listen anymore. He doesn't want to take this blame. Murong Cheng snatched the phone from Mu Zi and said to Bai Wei, Mom, do you think I really want to stay in Jingling? I serve her food and drinks every day, wake her up in the morning and put her to bed at night. I have to accompany her to recite those laws and regulations from time to time, or else, I will go back tomorrow first, and Zizi will not go back until the trial is over on Friday. When Bai Wei heard this, she became anxious. How can you leave your sister behind? Murong Cheng. He's pestering Mu Zi. Bai Wei is anxious, he despises Mu Zi. Bai Wei panics again. Murong Cheng felt that these two women were too nemesis, too difficult to serve. Fortunately, after saying this, Bai Wei finally believed Mu Zi's words. Bai Wei told Murong Cheng repeatedly on the phone, don't be impulsive, don't be impulsive. Hearing that Murong Cheng wanted to smash the phone, Bai Wei finally hung up the phone. The room was silent. Murong Cheng stared at Mu Zi negatively. Okay, now that the exam is over, I'm not in a hurry to go back. I should be rewarded for my hard work these days, right? Mu Zi sat cross-legged on the bed and reminded him in a low voice, Mom just said, don't be impulsive. I'm not impulsive. Murong Cheng sneered, this is a decision that has been carefully considered and rationally considered. Mu Zi thought about it seriously. It seemed that she had done a little too much these 2 days. Okay, she went all out, spread both hands, and said generously, You choose, left or right. Murong Cheng's gaze lingered up and down, as if looking at a piece of delicious top-quality steak, thinking about where to eat first. I'll choose the middle. Murong Cheng raised his hand and turned off the light. Mu Zi was stunned, thinking, what new tricks can be played in this kind of thing? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 689. Facts have proved that new tricks can really be played. After it was over, Mu Zi wiped off the stickiness on her chest little by little, and she was extremely depressed. Why can't God give her a perfect boyfriend? Can't you be a hooligan? Isn't it dirty? Her ideal love is the pure and romantic Play-Doh. Murong Cheng was also wronged, he couldn't get enough to eat every time, and he was very unhappy. Seeing Muse's dejected little appearance, he couldn't help feeling amused, and asked her, why haven't you gotten used to it yet? I can't get used to it. Mu Zi lay on his side, with his back turned to Murong Cheng sullenly, this kind of thing is uncomfortable, how can I get used to it? Murong Cheng hugged her tightly and said hurriedly, I want to make you feel better, but have you ever given me a chance? Mu Zi was choked by his words, and silently rolled her eyes. What a rogue theory. Zizi, desire exists in our body, it is neither shameful nor dirty, just like wanting to drink water when thirsty, and wanting to eat when hungry. Murong Cheng lightly kissed the smooth and delicate skin on her back, and murmured, in the future, you will know that as long as two people are in love, it is the happiest thing in the world. Mu Zi didn't make a sound, the pessimism in her heart prevailed, no matter how happy or not this matter is, Murong Cheng will never let her go. On this matter, Mu Zi's understanding is very profound and correct. The next day, Chu Mingjun rushed to Jingling and went to witness with Qin Lu to prepare for the trial. In Qin Lu's case, there are mainly two witnesses, one is her good sister Zhang Rong, and the other is Sister Qin, the foreman of the nightclub. Sister Qin's job is to arrange girls according to the tastes and requirements of customers. Senior members like Zhao Jiawai can also provide door-to-door services. She could prove that Qin Lu was unwilling to go at that time. Because Zhao Jiawai is notorious in their circle, no lady is willing to do his business, Sister Qin is afraid of offending clients, so she deceives Qin Lu by falsely claiming that Zhao Jiawai will not attend the party. The key to a sexual assault case lies in the will of the victim. Sister Qin's testimony, to a certain extent, can show that Qin Lu did not deal with Zhao Jiawai voluntarily. Coupled with the testimony of Qin Lu's good sister, Zhang Rong, and the injury report issued by the hospital, Chu Mingjun felt confident that the lawsuit was a sure thing. But when he arrived at the nightclub, the other party changed his mind and was unwilling to testify for Qin Lu in court. Qin Lu was taken aback, stopped Sister Qin and asked, didn't it be agreed at the beginning? Sister Qin, the court is about to start now, and you backtracked, what should I do? Lulu, we are all women. I'm also very sorry that you had an accident, but it's not easy to make a living these days, so don't make things difficult for me. Sister Qin held a cigarette in her hand, her face full of irritability. If people know that I testify in court, how will I do business in the future? Which guest would dare to come to support me? Lulu, you have to leave some room for being a human being. Don't kill them all. If you don't do this business, other sisters will do it. Are you going to smash everyone's jobs? Qin Lu turned pale with anger, half my life is almost gone by him, and I still have a job. Li Fengqin, we follow you, we are selling meat, not life. You push the sisters into the fire pit, and in the future who dares to follow you? Manjingling is not just a nightclub here. Hey, are you threatening me? Sister Qin's face suddenly turned cold, I've never heard of being coerced to testify in court, Qin Lu, let me tell you, I still won't go. Who do you want to sue is you, don't try to drag me into the water for your own business. Qin Lu still wanted to argue with her, but was stopped by Chu Mingjun. Forget it, Chu Mingjun winked at her, and dragged her away from the nightclub. Lawyer Chu, what should I do now? Qin Lu said anxiously, she refuses to testify, so I can't sue. Chu Mingjun comforted her, don't worry, I'll think of a way first. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 690. Zhao Jiawei is the son of a real estate tycoon, and his family is rich and powerful. Qin Lu wants to sue Zhao Jiawei, and the opposing lawyer cannot remain indifferent. Buying witnesses in court is the most direct and effective method. Chu Mingjun should have guarded against this move long ago. It's just that he just rushed to jingling from Xinjiang, and his work is not as convenient as these jingling locals, so he lost the opportunity. Your sister, Zhang Rong, can you get in touch now? Chu Mingjun asked her. Qin Lu hurriedly said, yes. Do you need to contact her now? Chu Mingjun said, after you find her, you two should find a place to stay for 2 days. Before the trial, it's best not to let her get in touch with people from the Zhao family. Okay, Qin Lu nodded. Chu Mingjun thought for a moment, he still had the hospital's injury report in his hand, as long as Zhang Rong was well protected, this lawsuit could still be fought. Naturally, this matter was not hidden from Mu Ziyi. Chu Mingjun immediately called and told her. Mu Ziyi's idea was the same as Chu Mingjun's, to isolate and protect the witness first, so as to avoid being taken advantage of by the other party. After hanging up the phone, Mu Ziyi held the phone in a daze. Mirong Cheng asked her what was wrong. A witness was stolen by the other party, Mu Ziyi told him. Mirong Cheng said, spend the money and then pry it back. If the opponent pays twice, he will pay 3 times, 5 times, or 10 times. No one in this world will have trouble with money. But Mu Ziyi shook her head, since the other party has done this, they will definitely guard against us, and then use the crime of bribing witnesses to bite us back, and this lawsuit will be over. Losing the initiative, no matter what you do, you will appear passive. A sudden twist and turn in a lawsuit that is seeing victory in sight, no matter who encounters it, will feel uncomfortable. Originally, Mu Ziyi and Mirong Cheng planned to go out for fun that day, but when they received a call from Chu Mingjun, Mu Ziyi lost the mood to have fun, so he dug out the case information and looked it over carefully. Mirong Cheng poured a glass of warm water and gently placed it beside her. Mu Ziyi took a sip from the water glass, raised her eyes and saw Mirong Cheng staring at her for a moment. She couldn't help but smile, and asked him, why do you keep looking at me? It looks good, Mirong Cheng replied with a smile. Mu Ziyi thought he was talking sweetly to make herself happy again, so she smiled sweetly, lowered her head and continued to read the information. Mirong Cheng likes her now. Just like a runner on the field, look for a goal, and then run against the light without hesitation or confusion. She is confident, determined, and lives an enviable life. No matter what happens, she will go all out and work hard for what she sticks to. Her bright eyes seemed to shine. That was the light he yearned for most in the dark, chaotic, and bewildered years. When he is illuminated by light, he feels alive. On Thursday, Muse's phone was flooded with messages. Zhang Xinyuan, Zhuang Jia, and the students in the class all sent messages, praising her for being beautiful on camera, and jokingly saying that the reporter has a good eye. It was only then that Mu Ziyi realized that she had lost her temper. The interview with her last time was edited and played together with the interviews of other candidates. Although it was only a dozen seconds, it caused crazy reposts on the internet. Netizens gave her the title of the most beautiful judicial examinee. Under the news video, many people commented and left messages. It seems to see hope for the future of the judiciary. A star is rising. Strongly urge the examiner to admit the student. There were also students from Gray who actively left messages, and Yu Yorong said, "This is the goddess of our school." This piece of news is like a cute little water splash in Jingling. It is not big, but it is full of interest. This evening, on the most authoritative news talk show in the country, the host kept up with the hot news and asked questions to the most popular presidential candidates recently. "Mr. Sidhu, do you usually pay attention to the hot reviews on the internet?" The most beautiful judicial candidates commented on this year's test questions. "What do you think about it?"